this point, we kind of, I think, went through our introductions a little quicker than what we had hoped to. So hopefully Michael is on. And but I want to take the opportunity now to recognize our keynote speaker for this Lunch and Learn presentation. And Dr. Michael Wilcox. Michael wears many different hats on campus, and one of which is the program leader for the Purdue Community Development, Purdue Extension Community Development Program. So he's been in that role here not all that long, but served as assistant program leader for a number of years before that. And in addition to that role, he's the associate director of the North Central Regional Center for Rural Development. This is a fairly new addition to Purdue and a fairly new role for Michael, and I'm sure he can expand on that a little bit more. He's also a community and regional economics specialist with the Purdue Agricultural Economics Department, and as well as a senior associate with the Purdue Center for Regional Development. And Michael, we're very glad to have you join us today for this Lunch and Learn annual meeting. And you probably didn't have as early a start or as long a drive as you would have if you were coming in person, but we do appreciate that. Michael's been actually here in the county, both virtually and in person, a number of times over the years, as we've had a lot of good programming, good efforts going on in the county with the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, the READY grant, the Business Retention and Expansion programs. So Michael's been a familiar face for a lot of people in the county, and especially those that have been involved in those efforts. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to have you reach a more, kind of a broader audience with the topic as well. So Michael, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and hopefully we'll stop sharing my screen and hopefully you'll be able to share yours.
Right. Thanks so much for having me today. Excited to be here, right, in our virtual Zoom sense. Nick, can you see my slide okay?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. And is it full screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So I was asked to talk a bit about the work that I do and all the hats that I wear. And so we came up with the title of Building Strong, Vibrant, Inclusive Communities Across Indiana. And so if I'm looking away a little bit, I have 3 screens and I'm looking at the one that has the slides on it. So I'm going to talk to you today a bit about what building a strong, vibrant, inclusive community looks like and how sort of each of the hats that I wear helps contribute to that. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this topic today. Let's see if I can get my slides going here. All right, so this was kind of a fun thing to work on. Because I wear 4 different hats, I was trying to make the case for how they all fit in, if you will, and then kind of line that up with building inclusive communities, which Spencer County is in the process of doing. And I'm excited to talk a bit today about the work that we've done over the last year through the READY program. Before I get there, I wanted to take some time to talk about the programs that we host here on campus that Nick is a part of and connected to, as well as our other educators. So the 4 areas in which I work are the Department of Agricultural Economics. So that's where students go and take classes and so on, and there's research going on with other faculty members and lots of extension work coming out of there as well, including like succession planning, which Nick is on the succession planning team. There's PCRD, the Purdue Center for Regional Development, that orange bubble there, and we're really focused on regional development across the state. So if you think about Indiana 15, we worked with them to put together their Stronger Economies Together plan, which ultimately became their comprehensive economic development plan. That was several years ago. Then there's the NCCRD, which is the newest member of this sort of rural development family, if you will. The NCCRD is the North Central Regional Center for Rural Development. It was at Iowa State for many, many years. And then back in 2010, it went into Michigan State. and Michigan State's had it from 2010 to 2020. And then this year it was, there was a competitive announcement. Purdue decided to put their hat in, and Dr. Maria Marshall, who's in Ag Econ, and myself, we wound up putting in an application and wound up co-directors of the center. Maria is as a distinguished professor. She's the director of the NCCRD, and then I'm the associate director of the center. We're co-directing things, but it was easier just to have two separate titles like that. And so we've been doing that since September. We actually have a board meeting here in 2 hours. We have 3 other sister centers. So we look at and concentrate on the North Central region, but there's also a sister center in the South. There's a sister center up in the Northeast, and then one out West. And we work on the extension side of things, doing work like all of our great educators do in Spencer County. And then we also work with researchers as well, the experiment station side of the house. And so we do quite a bit of applied research as well. And I'm going to get into more about the NCCRD and Ag Econ here and PCRD in a moment. Last, but certainly not least, is sort of my lead effort, if you will, and that's the Community Development Extension Program, where I'm a program leader. And what I'd like to do, you see they sort of all intersect, and I'm going to walk you through what those intersections mean, and hopefully that'll be helpful. And when I talk about these things, oftentimes in communities, they're like, wow, I did not even realize that Extension was doing all of this. And we're tired of being the best kept secret, for sure. And we're certainly no longer a best kept secret in Spencer County because there's so many great things going on there. But we're working hard to make sure that even where we don't have a community development presence, we have about 26 staff that are out in a variety of counties across the state. We're not in every county like Ag and Natural Resources or Health and Human Sciences or 4-HR, but we have a presence around the state, and we have 5 regional educators, which I'll get to in a moment. So first I'll start out with Ag Econ. Ag Econ, like I said, is our academic department. We have a whole extension unit within our Department of Agricultural Economics. And as I mentioned, it's made up of faculty and staff. And they look at a wide variety of agricultural, economically oriented things and applied economics as well. My PhD is in Ag Econ. This is the department that I graduated from back in 2005. And as I mentioned, Nick is a part of that program through the succession planning piece that comes out of this department. But we do a wide variety of things in the department. Much of it, as you would figure, is agriculturally related, or it's going to be natural resources related. But it's really an opportunity for Indiana communities to benefit from our applied economics sort of toolkit, if you will. And we have several rural community and development extension specialists that are on staff, including myself. Bo Ballou is part of that, who's the former director of PCRD and the former program leader of community development with Extension. Dr. Roberto Gallardo, who many of you have met, who's our broadband expert and now the director of PCRD. He's part of that program also, as is Maria, and we have several other faculty members that are part of that program. Then we have community development, as I mentioned. Our mission is to strengthen the capacity of local leaders, residents, and organizations to build strong, vibrant communities by using research-based resources to guide their decisions. And that was our former mission. I don't have a screen grab of our new mission, but we've changed up our mission a little bit, and we've actually added inclusive into our new mission. And so we'll be sharing that at the beginning of next year. We're reorganizing our entire website. All of the College of Agriculture is reorganizing their website. And so our new mission will be up there. But in terms of the theme of this whole talk, we added inclusive because we wanted to make sure that every single person here in Indiana, every resident, understood that Purdue Extension programming is open to everyone, and we hope relevant to everyone. And so we did add that to our mission. As you may know, we have 5 thematic areas that our community development work is done in: leadership and civic engagement, community and organizational planning, economic and business development, local government, education, and quality places. And actually, we have a 6th one coming on here, again, with the new website at the beginning of the year, and that's going to be focused on workforce development. And within each of these, you can see with the white letters, those are all signature programs that we have people trained up to deliver across the state. The community leadership development, which we've done a lot in your region, facilitative leadership, navigating difference. Those are all about inclusion and inclusive leadership and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to be a part and parcel of the power structure within their community. We also try to help communities through organizational planning. You were a part of the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, which was quite successful in your community, as well as next door there in Perry County and in Harrison County, and a total of 19 communities across the state. And that work was funded by OCRA, the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. We're going to be rolling out next year a 2.0 version of that we're excited about. So keep your eyes open. And Beginner's Guide to Grant Writing, that's another great program. I think last year we helped communities leverage well over $1 million worth of grant funds, where they came in, they took our class and they wrote grants, and they were able to attract well over $1 million from that program. The program has been so successful that it's won a national award at our NACDEP conference, our National Association of Community Development Extension Professionals. And it's now been launched nationally as well. And even during COVID, we wound up hosting a multi-day training for people across the United States that wanted to adopt our Beginner's Guide to Grant Writing program. So we're really, really excited. That program's been around for a long time, led by Chris Parker, one of our regional educators. We completely rewrote it about 4 years ago, and it was so successful that it's won awards and now is being adopted nationally. So we're really excited about that program. In economic and business development, I believe that we're getting started on our business retention and expansion program there in Spencer County, really helping businesses who are struggling so much right now through COVID, making sure that we can help position counties to retain those businesses, and when the time is right, to try to help expand those businesses as well. Digital Ready Business is another one. It's now an app. In light of COVID, Dr. Gallardo wound up taking that class and training, and wound up turning it into an online app that you can actually download and take the class for a fee and get a certificate at the end of it. Another excellent program where business owners can find their space on the internet, where people are having a hard time, going to the store and this and that and the other thing. With COVID, many people, many businesses, or some businesses anyway, were able to successfully pivot because they had an online presence. And this whole class helps walk you through the process of trying to develop your online presence so you can sell using the internet. And probably all of us, as we enter into the holiday season, have been online purchasing things. You've probably been purchasing things like toilet paper all year online with the way 2020 went, but that's an exciting program. American Citizen Planner in local government education is another way that we're trying to be even more inclusive. It's really setting people up to learn more about the planning process and finding ways that as residents you can inform the planning process in your own community. And that's an online class that can be taken. It's a very good class. We developed it based on a class out of Michigan, and we wound up Indiana-ifying it as well. And that's been receiving some notoriety nationally also. And then our On Local Government program, some of you, if you're a local government leader, you've probably taken that, worked with Larry DeBoer and Tamara Ogle on learning more about government finance and so on, and making sure that your local government is as efficient and effective as possible. And then with Quality Places, I won't go through all of these, obviously, but that's a thematic area that we're really focused on inclusion in terms of health and in terms of public spaces. And so we have Enhancing the Value of Public Spaces, and we have a new Enhancing the Value of Public Spaces where we work with our community wellness coordinators, our HHS educators, and our community development educators and A&R educators to try to develop action plans that are really focused on fostering healthy communities. And as you're going to see here in a moment, you all in Spencer County have a leg up on that, and I'm really excited. I got permission from Tara Damon today to unveil some of the planning that has gone through Spencer County as part of the READY process. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. This is the Purdue Center for Regional Development. They just redid their website. They're really focused on strategic planning, digital inclusion, economic and business development, and workforce and talent development. So you can see there's a lot of synergies between our community development program that works on the community level and at the county level, and PCRD, which works on the regional level. And you can see right there in the digital inclusion that being inclusive is part and parcel of what we do. We have a new diversity index, which is out through PCRD. So you can look how diversity has changed over time in Spencer County, and we'll look a little bit at that data in a moment. But it also takes a look at the digital divide and how you can overcome the digital divide. If we learned anything from COVID this year, we learned that there's haves and have-nots. There's those families that can adapt very quickly because they have the technology and the internet access at their fingertips. So when schools went online, they were able to adapt quite readily. And then there's other families that were unable to do that. They don't have the access to broadband. Both mom and dad, let's say, were essential workers and weren't home, and the kids were left to their own devices or didn't even have a device at home. And we really saw where digital inclusion became the difference between whether you were able to survive and thrive during COVID, or if you were barely surviving during COVID, especially in terms of our kids and their access to education. So we did quite a bit of work this year through PCRD looking at that and trying to afford communities the opportunity to really soften the constraint of the digital divide. And of course, there's been some broadband planning activities through Purdue and Okra there in Spencer County. We were really excited to be a part of that effort. NCCRD, this is our brand new website. It's so new, it's not even launched yet. We should be launching here the first of the year. We completely redesigned the website, migrated all the information from Michigan State, and this should be up and running here in January. I throw this slide up here so you can see our mission: building rural communities through cutting-edge research and extension programs and innovative partnerships. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner are 3 thematic areas. So if community development has 6, including workforce development, we have 3 with the NCCRD, but they're pretty broad. And again, our mission is to work with the 12 states and all of the land-grant universities within those states to help motivate and achieve really success in all of these 3 thematic areas: creating resilient communities, developing leadership and civic engagement, and promoting community health and wellness. So you can see that what we're doing through Purdue Extension really then pervades into what Purdue is trying to lead through our efforts, our national efforts through the North Central Regional Center for Rural Development. And we're really excited about some of the upcoming things that are going on. We just were awarded a large grant through alongside the American Public and Land Grant University, APLU, the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities, APLU. We co-wrote a grant focused on workforce development, but really focused on the youth. And one of our cornerstone programs, our signature programs, Work Ready here in Indiana, is going to wind up being one of the crown jewels, I think, in that national program that we're doing with APLU. We also have work going on right now in terms of workforce development, that intersection between workforce development and health. It's very difficult to work if you are not healthy, or if health and wellness is an issue for you. And we know that things like racism are a health issue. And so we have a program going on right now looking at the intersection between workforce development and health. We're also working in the area of substance use disorder and trying some new novel ways of helping communities support recovery in their communities. We know that during COVID and even before COVID, substance use disorder was a real scourge on our rural areas across the United States. And there were many, many rural communities really struggling with substance use disorder. Businesses were dealing with it because their employees weren't coming to work, or they couldn't work because they were struggling with substance use disorder. Families were really suffering because of it. School systems suffering because of it. It really runs the gamut on how deep and devastating substance use disorder can be. And through a recovery-oriented system of care that we are working with several communities on, we're starting to see some success. So Purdue started in Tippecanoe County. We were quite successful there in Tippecanoe. We're now working on an Indian reservation in North Dakota, implementing the system. We're working in Newton County in Indiana, and we're just started work in Wayne County, and we got a large grant to do this work. Really, it's extension centered, but extension is catalyzing these recovery oriented systems of care. And we're working with Ohio State University Extension and University of Illinois Extension to really write the curriculum, pilot the program. And our mandate through this grant is that we'll have this program piloted in the North Central region over the next 2 years, and then nationally, hopefully in that third year. So again, really focused on making sure that everyone in the community has opportunities, and those that are struggling with things like substance use disorder, that they can find a road to recovery and contribute to their community as they wish, reaching their potential, if you will. So we're excited about all these different things that are going on with the NCCRD. Again, we've only been around for 3 months here at Purdue. We've been around since 1972. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary in 2022. But in terms of the work that we are doing here through the center hosted at Purdue, we're 3 months old, and we're already making some great gains, which is exciting. So this is a lot, but in my mind's eye, this is how it kind of all comes together. And I hope as I talk about this, I hope I'm not boring you too much, of course, but also I hope that the juices are flowing in your mind, thinking about all the things that could be implemented in Spencer County. And I'm not trying to make work for the extension office necessarily. They're already doing a lot of work and 100% engaged, but there are some things that we could be looking at that we're excited to deploy. And through that partnership between campus and the great folks that you have there in Spencer County, a lot more things can be done. So again, it's AgEcon, PCRD, NCRCRD, and CDEXT. You can see where the overlaps are and all of the different types of programming that we've done that fall in those areas. So we do work in entrepreneurship through our Institute for Family Business. We just released a large-scale wind energy report looking at the community development aspects of wind energy and the effect that it's had on Indiana communities. That's available on our community development website. We've done a whole host of economic impact studies, and I mentioned the succession planning program that Nick is a part of. Of course, broadband is a big issue for us, and AgEcon and PCRD have done several efforts associated with that. And I won't go through all of these, but just to note that there's a wide variety: land use planning, small business education, data visualization, and one of the ones that's sticking out there towards the bottom, that D, if you will, the overlap between PCRD, CDEXT, and NCRCRD, we're an acronym soup. In extension is the READY program, the Rural Economic Development Innovation Initiative. And I'll be talking about that in a moment. And you can see right in the middle, the sort of take home on this slide is the one thing that pervades across all four of these areas, all four of these programs, is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and leadership and civic engagement. It's really trying to do everything we can in order to engage all of the residents in our communities across the state of Indiana, empowering them to do so, and helping communities pave the way to make that happen. So in order to do that, in order to pave the way to make that happen, you need to know about your community. One of the things that we worked on really hard last year was putting together data snapshots for all 92 counties. And so I just wanted to quickly go through some data in Spencer County. And of course, I put this slideshow together last week, and the minute I hit save, all the data was updated. So I can update this data. Much of it comes from the American Community Survey. We're going to be updating the data snapshots here at the beginning of in the first quarter of 2021. And I'm sure that Nick and everyone else in the office will let you know when those are available. But we're going to jump into the data here. Right before we do, I wanted to throw this out here since everyone wanted me to talk about inclusivity. I wanted to talk about sort of what the prevailing thought is here at the university, especially within the College of Agriculture. And it's this concept of inclusive excellence. And oftentimes inclusive excellence is thought of in terms of our students. As you know, Purdue University is the land-grant university here in Indiana. And so, yeah, academics and the students are front and center in everything that we do. But we're also a research university as being a land-grant university. And we also have extension. So that really makes us unique. And so we need to extend this concept of inclusive excellence to not only include how we teach our students and prepare our students for the real world, but it needs to pervade our research and what we do on the research side, as well as what we do in extension. And so I'll just read this really quickly. It's inclusive excellence. Optimizing inclusive excellence is an active process, so it's not going to happen on its own. You can't be passive about it. It's an active process through which we will achieve excellence in learning, teaching, student development, organizational functioning, and engagement in local and global communities. And so the question, I guess, that we're asking ourselves is, what might this mean for Spencer County? So you could certainly apply this for your students that go to the different schools there in Spencer County, and you could probably apply it directly, since this is typically written in a student context. But I also want you to think about it from a community context as well, whether it's the entire county or if it's the municipality that you live in, or even just the community around you, whether it be your faith-based community or other communities that you're a part of. How does inclusion, equity, diversity, and belonging really fit into everything that you do? What we find in the research is that those communities that really follow this idea of inclusive excellence, that the universities that intentionally follow this concept of inclusive excellence, we see that the student outcomes are positive. We see that there's a positive impact. And there are companies that are following this as well. And we see them profiting from it as well, because they're getting the most out of their employees, and they wind up employing a more diverse staff, and a staff that can work together. And we certainly see that on the NCCRD staff, the Ag Econ staff, the PCRD staff, as well as the community development staff. And I think what you'll see in a moment with the READY plan, I'm hopeful that that's one next step towards making Spencer County a signature county in terms of inclusive excellence. But it really means thinking about, what does inclusion look like in your community? What does diversity look like in your community? What does equity look like in your community? And ultimately, what does belonging look like in your community? And I'm sure if I gave you 30 seconds to think about it, you could think about populations in Spencer County and in the surrounding counties where there are specific populations where maybe they aren't included. I remember doing some work in Perry County a couple of years ago. We were helping do a lot of intensive research for their Parks and Rec plan. And there was a park that was tangent or next to or adjacent to a trailer park. And no one thought to go ask the residents of the trailer park how they used the park. We were leaning on survey analysis. We were leaning on all these other means of acquiring data on who uses the park. But for some reason, it didn't intuitively come to mind to go and talk to the people that live right next to it. And part of that, and it's not just Perry County, this happens everywhere, that socioeconomic status winds up determining whether you have access, if you will, or if you're asked to the table. And what we're finding is that you're going to be more successful in generating decisions and generating action plans and implementing those action plans if you are inclusive, if you get buy-in from everyone and you hear and listen to everyone. And certainly we've been struggling with that over the past decade or two in the United States as a nation, listening to what everyone has to say and thoughtfully thinking about what people have to say. And we need to do a better job at that. And we can start right there at the local level. There's no better place to start than right there in Spencer County. So I'm going to go through the data very quickly here, but you can see that your population has been quite stable over the past couple of decades. Many counties are trying to grow their population. In some ways, some respects, Spencer County has been lucky that you've been able to stabilize your population, because in many rural communities here in Indiana, they've seen nothing but losses. And so kudos to you that you've been able to stabilize it. Moving forward, we'd like to see some upward momentum there in terms of economic development, community vitality, and then, of course, inclusiveness as you gain population, including them in a fundamental way. This is looking at where did the population go, and you can see that the losses, you've seen some substantial losses in population between 2000 and 2010, which are the blue lines, and then the orange lines, 2010 to 2018. The primary losses were driven by people leaving the county and going elsewhere within the United States. There was a time between 2000 and 2010 where you had some folks coming from outside the country that were moving into Spencer County, but that's kind of tapered off. So there's sort of no net gain as far as international migration is concerned versus a net loss, that comparison between the people that are coming in or migrating to Spencer County versus the people that are choosing to migrate away. We're still seeing substantial losses in that respect. Where you're staving off some of those losses through natural increase, but even natural increase has gone down. Between 2000 and 2010, you had a net gain of 524 people. Just naturally, that's down to 125 as we see people having children later and fewer children. So ultimately, we see a total net change of about a decrease of about 500, and that's over time, over 8 years, about 500. And so every year you're chipping away at it. So you don't really see it too much in the data because it's just about 100 people that you're losing or a little less. So that's why it's kind of a flat line. What's happened is you lose these folks, and then you've got some folks that stay. You've got evidence here. These are population pyramids. You can look at male and female. The bottom of it are the youngest of folks. The topmost are the oldest folks, 80 and older. And you can see that the bottom was wide in 2000. It's now gotten much narrower in 2018. And where you had quite a few folks in the 10 to 19, you see that that's narrowed. The 20 to 29 and 30 to 39 and 40 to 49 is definitely narrowed. Some of that is the folks getting older. You see that the 40 to 49 then migrate up to the 50 to 59. But you can see that you have an older population on average in Spencer County, and we call that phenomena aging in place. And so you wind up being having some challenges in terms of inclusivity, right? You want to try to hang on to those 20 to 50-year-olds. They're the ones that are putting the kids in your schools and so on, and work many times working in the jobs that you're creating there in Spencer County. But also as they leave, they're taking their kids with them. And so you wind up having this aging in place phenomena where you have a larger proportion of seniors or people 50 and older. I'm 50, I have my AARP card now, so I'll throw myself in that senior category. And of course, seniors have some certain needs, and you need to be thinking about, okay, are we including our seniors? Are we making sure that their needs are being met? And then if we're going to try to attract or retain some younger folks, what are we doing to help in that process as well? And so when you think about inclusivity and being inclusive and diversity, it's not just about race, it's not just about the ethnicity. You need to be thinking about it from a wide variety of angles, and certainly age is one of those. Speaking of race, here's race. You can see that you are diversifying. Whites were 97.7% of the population in 2000. They're now 96.8. So it's still overwhelmingly white, but there are still 3.2% of the population in Spencer County who are not. They may be Asian, they may be Black or African American, they may be Alaskan Natives, American Indian, and so on. And you can see that the population is diversifying. 2 or more races is the largest piece of that. Black or African American is the next largest piece, and then you have some smaller segments in terms of Asians and American Indian, Alaskan Native, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander. But you do have some diversity there in the county. As far as ethnic diversity, that's growing as well. Of course, you can be Hispanic and white, and so this isn't a distinct category, but nearly 3% of your population was Hispanic in 2018, so that's a growing population there, and 97.1% is not Hispanic or not Latino. But that's another segment of diversity that's slowly growing in Spencer County as well. And here's another one that we don't often think about. Certainly, we talked a lot about it during the past 4 years after the election in 2016 and now the election in 2020. Educational attainment winds up being an interesting piece of the diversity puzzle. And you can see that Spencer County, by these measures, is becoming more educated or attaining a higher level of education. The segment of no high school, they didn't graduate from high school, percentage-wise was cut in half from 18% in 2000 to less than 10% in 2018. And so what's happened is you've got more people graduating high school, up from 42.8 to 44.9. You have more people going to college, so that's some college, they don't necessarily finish, but that went up from 18.5 to 19.5. And then you've got quite a few people that are getting associate's degrees. That's gone up from 6.9 to 10.9, which is great. And then folks with a bachelor's or higher has gone up from 13% to nearly 15%. So all of that is moving towards a greater educational attainment, which will typically provide benefit in terms of your workforce. It'll make Spencer County more attractive for certain types of businesses that you're trying to attract. It also means that you have a more educated pool of talent that the existing businesses that are in your community can draw from. But it also means that you wind up having a wide variety of sort of thought processes, if you will. People are getting out more, they're more educated, and so the discourse winds up being perhaps a bit different than the discussions that you were having maybe 20 years ago, which brings its own challenges, if you will. Another one that people don't often think about, and there is some good news here, which I'll share with you, but income. I mentioned earlier the experience that I had in Perry County, where your socioeconomic status was determining whether, could have determined whether you were included in some things or not. And we see that all over Indiana, we see it all over the United States. And in many places, we wound up seeing a heightening of that income inequality. So we talk about inclusiveness, and we want to see that income inequality go down. We don't want more haves and more have-nots, and like no one in the middle, if you will. And what you see here is that real median household income in 2018 dollars in Spencer County did go down from $61,000 in 2001 to $56,000 in 2018. So that's not encouraging, but real per capita income actually went up. So median is there in the middle, real per capita is per person, and that's actually gone up. And so that is an indication that income inequality is going down in Spencer County, and that is confirmed as you look at the percent of household in the lowest income bracket, which went from a third of the population was making less than $30,000 to now less than a quarter of the population is making less than, the household is making less than $30,000. And you see the percentage of households in the upper income bracket, $100,000 or higher, went from 6.5% in 2000 to 19.7% in 2018. So you see the two ends of the spectrum. You see the poorest of folks moving into more of a middle income status, and you see some folks in middle income status moving into a higher income status. So the curve is shifting to the right, which is what we're looking for. But with that, it also brings new challenges and new opportunities to Spencer County as well in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But it's always good to look at this data as well and think about, are there disparities? Okay, so overall this is happening in the community, but are there some people in your community that are being left behind, and what can be done about it in terms of food banks and workforce development and other ways that you can help those communities. Okay, so this brings me to READY, and I'll wrap up here soon and give you your day back here. But I did want to bring up the Rural Economic Development Innovation Initiative, READY. This was a program that Spencer County applied for. We had other communities apply for it as well. 45 communities across the United States were accepted into the program. I think we had 87 applicants and 45 got in. Spencer County is the only place in Indiana that was accepted into the program. So the acceptance rate wasn't very high. And then of all the folks that applied, Spencer was the only one in Indiana. We were excited that you all were accepted into the program. It gave Bo, Blue, and myself an opportunity to come back down to Spencer County and spend time with you all. And it has been great. It has been great. So READY is an initiative that provides free technical assistance for up to 2 years to help rural towns and regions create and implement economic development plans. And so I wanted to share with you today, if I might, and I've got to stop sharing and then share another screen. I wanted to share with you some of the great work that's been done over the past year. And I want to give a shout out to Nick and Megan and Aaron. They've been a really critical piece in all of this, holding things together, along with Tara Damon and Valerie Schmidt and Kathy Renke and a whole bunch of other folks that have worked on this as well. Really a community effort trying to hold this work together for READY. Under really difficult circumstances, we came down this time last year, I think it was, had a great meeting with Spencer County, really got a lot done, had a really good group of folks. It was right before Christmas time. It was my first time in Santa Claus, Indiana. I even sent cards to the kids and my nephews and nieces, and it was fantastic, right? And we look forward to coming back and continuing the planning process. And then COVID came. And so we've wound up working from a distance pretty much the entire time. But thanks to Nick and Megan and Aaron and Tara and Valerie and Kathy and everybody else that lent help to this program, we were able to get things done using a variety of processes. There were people meeting there in Spencer. We did some online things as well. There was certainly a lot of emailing and texting and so on and so forth, but we got the job done. So I'm going to show you sort of where they went and give you two examples of some of the planning that's been going on. And I'm going to do a new share, and I'm going to share screen 3. Nick, can you see that okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So the first goal of the READY program in Spencer County was to promote a vibrant and diverse economy. And we had a lot of great people in this session talking about all of the different things that could be done. And just like we did in the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, we took an opportunity to look at the plans that were already in place, try to determine what has been done and what hasn't been done and why hasn't it been done and what should be done moving forward. And so you can see they have specifics. The objective: retain, expand, and attract local business and industry through a business retention expansion program, focusing on smaller businesses employing less than 100 people, really the bread and butter of the economy there in Spencer County. And so the goal, you have the promote a vibrant and diverse economy. You have the objective number 1, retain and expand local businesses. And then we have specific strategies here, identifying resources, creating a BR&E team. And the nice thing about the process that we used, it was quite inclusive. There was a lot of deliberation. We had a lot of people at the table, and the action planning process resulted in determining who was the lead person, who were the key partners, who were the key resources, when were these things going to start, and the measurements that we were going to use in order to determine whether it was completed or not. And because Spencer County is awesome, much of what was planned has been completed, even during COVID, which was fantastic. And I won't go through all of these things, but schedule and hold BR&E task force meetings. I know they're still working on the BR&E work. assess community readiness, announce the BRE program, distribute questionnaires, conduct site visits, analyze results, and prepare the report. All of these things are going to be going on. They've started already. They're going to finish up here in the summer of next year. And I think these guys are on track to getting these things done. So we're really excited to have you as a part of our BRE program, and we're excited to see what comes out of that. And hopefully we'll be able to talk about all the great things that came out of that. The other one that I'll bring up is it has to do with health, enhance the county's quality of life. Objective 1, enhance health and wellness through physical amenities and programs. So this is somewhat like the tack that we take with enhancing the value of public spaces, creating healthy communities. And you can see that your extension office with Aaron and Megan leading the way really helped in a lot of this, or led a lot of this. So enhance the health and wellness through physical amenities and programs, establish a health and wellness committee, develop a comprehensive community health assessment, identify and inventory existing facilities, promote and market health and wellness. And you can see all these completed check marks over here. These were things that were started in August of last year, started August of this year, and there's things that are ongoing as well. Coordinate with partners to address mental health needs, work with partners to develop enhanced physical features and other amenities, identify physical needs and barriers in the county, funding resources, and so on. I can't say enough about the work that has been done by the Extension Office this year, not only through READY, but READY was certainly a feather in their cap and all the excellent work. I know that Nick participated on the economic development side, and I know that, Megan and Aaron participated on the health and wellness side. Just what a fantastic community collaboration that turned out to be. Just very proud of our extension office and the great work that they did. I guess I'll share my screen one last time as I finish up here. Please do feel free to reach out to me. I'm brave enough even to give my cell phone number there at the bottom, and that's not a misprint. It is 865. I still have my old cell phone number from Knoxville, Tennessee, when I was a professor down there. And my email is wilcox16@purdue.edu. If you find your way up in West Lafayette one of these days, please do swing by. I can be found either at Shoei House or in Cranard and Ag Econ. Would love to sit down and chat with you about all the great things that are going on in Spencer County, and hopefully talk about some of the great things coming up here in 2021, 2022. And if any of these things that I mentioned today bubble up some ideas or might meet some needs or create some opportunities in Spencer County, please do not hesitate to reach out to us through Ag Econ, through PCRD, through community development, or through the NCCRD. We'd love to continue working with you guys, and we applaud all your efforts in what was a very, very difficult year in 2020. You guys really showed what Spencer County was made of, and congratulations on all the success you've had this year. And with that, I will end.
All right, thanks, Michael. I don't see any questions or anything in the chat box. If anyone has any questions for Michael, you can feel free to unmute and ask as well. So, well, it must be a quiet group today. But
I lulled everyone to sleep. Right, they're all eating their lunch.
Yeah, but we appreciate you joining us again, Michael. And for everybody on, the meeting was recorded, so we'll be sharing the recording with everyone as well. So if you feel free to share it with other people too that maybe were not able to join us live today as well. So with that, I just want to take a moment here to thank everyone for joining us. Again, this was, we can't reiterate enough that this was a strange year, a challenging year, but we look forward to what 2021 brings. So thank you again for joining us. We wish everyone a happy holiday season, and hopefully a happy and healthy new year as well.